So, hi everybody, welcome along to another author event with Bookshop 507 and Braille House. Today we're joined by Aleesah Darlison.
Hello, thanks for having me.
A pleasure, thanks for joining us. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I grew up living in the country. I always had animals around me, not just my brother and sisters, although they got pretty wild at times. So I had a really kind of outdoorsy growing up childhood, but I also read a lot of books. I have always loved books, always had my head in a book. So I was reading and writing from the age of 4, and I don't think I've ever stopped. So books have been a huge part of my life, but as a child, I would never have thought they'd be such a big part of my adulthood as well. It's just funny how things turn out. So when I was about 17, I moved to Sydney. I went to university. I studied marketing. I absolutely loved that, and I worked in marketing for about 10 years. But my heart was with books and writing, and I thought, well, you only get one chance at this. So when I had a few kids of my own, obviously a lot of us start with picture books, and I started off there, but also writing lots of other things. And I think I've written a lot of animal stories, and that's kind of what I'm well known for. Australian animals, endangered animals, but also other animals as well. And after about, 10 years, I've been published for 10 years now, and I've published 50 books. So
Wow.
I did leave it a little bit late. I treated writing as a hobby, but I think I've kind of caught up now. And about 6 years ago, we moved to the Sunshine Coast, the beautiful sunny Sunshine Coast, very hot Sunshine Coast. And so we live up here now. I do a lot of writing still. I travel around to schools, festivals, libraries, doing a lot of sessions there. Of course, that's changed a little bit with COVID. So I've been doing a lot of Zoom sessions. And that's why I'm here with you today.
Excellent, and we're happy to have you. So what inspired that from writing because you enjoyed it to sort of going, okay, now I'm going to get published? So what was
I think my goal was to always be commercially published. I just had that kind of desire to share my stories and have my name on a book, really. And the thing was, I didn't know where or what genre I wanted to write for. So I was writing everything. I was writing articles, I was writing short stories, I was writing adult romance novels. I've got a few of those terrible manuscripts in my drawer. I was writing kids' books. And it wasn't until I started to really hone in on one thing that I started to get better at that. Of course, when you say kids' books too, they're picture books, they're chapter books, novels. Young adult is kind of encompassed in that as well. And a young adult novel of 80,000 words is very different to a picture book of 500 words or 300 words. So even within children's writing, there are a lot of different little niches that you can really hone in on.
And can you tell us about the writing process being so prolific? Do they come differently, or what is your process? Do you plan to, okay, I'm going to sit and write today, or do you wait when the inspiration comes? Is that when you sit and do it, or?
It's kind of a mix of all of those things. I think when I was starting out, I was really taken with, an idea, and I'd run away with that idea, and I'd have so many ideas. I just couldn't get to writing all of those ideas down. And not all of those ideas are good ideas, mind you. Some are great, but they never come to fruition. So I did learn that I had to plan, particularly when writing a longer work. Like, I need to plan my characters, plan my setting. I do a lot of series, so obviously that all has to be planned. Every story has to be kind of in my head already, and so do the characters, before I actually start writing those stories. Otherwise, you waste a lot of time. And many years ago, I was very, very lucky to be awarded an Australian Society of Authors mentorship with Kate Forsyth. And she was, very adamant that you had to plan. I mean, Kate writes 120,000 word novels. If she didn't plan, what a waste of time it would be for her if she got stuck somewhere or went down a certain path and then had to retrace her steps. And we're working to deadlines as well. When you're just writing as a hobby, you can sort of write whenever you want. And it doesn't work that way with a commercial publisher. It is, as the word says, a commercial enterprise, and they have deadlines and schedules when they want your book to come out. So if they say you've got to have your first draft, your manuscript to them, September 2020, you better have it on their desk by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise you don't get to work with them as much.
Yeah, I guess marketing would have helped you with deadlines a little bit as well.
It did. It's so funny. I studied marketing at university for 3 years, and I worked in marketing for 10, 12 years. But then it comes to book marketing, and it's all different. You have to learn it again, and things are constantly evolving, as we're seeing all the time with online digital marketing. I listen to all these podcasts, and it just blows my mind at the knowledge these people have, and the expertise and the strategies that they're using, that you're not really being taught that in university yet, not all the time. And it's the same with writing, really. You can't just learn everything by turning up to a university course or just sitting at your desk. You have to learn from experts, and you have to, like I did, I guess I self-taught myself, reading, doing a lot of writing, putting it into practice, listening to the experts and asking lots of questions.
Very good. So your themes include courage, love, understanding, anti-bullying, self-belief, friendship, and teamwork, all very important. How do you write in a language that kids understand so it makes these themes more powerful?
You don't want to dumb it down to them, but you do have to keep it a little bit more simplified. You have to speak their language. I think using humour is a really great way to do that, and using friendships and relationships, those characters that they fall in love with, to show them, to model those good behaviours. It's not about preaching. It's not about telling them. It's about showing them. And it does take time to develop that light, that deft touch. And, we're all guilty of being a bit too adult and lecturing them. So it's not always the first edit that comes out in.
Yeah, nice. And you deliver a lot of, like you mentioned, workshops to all kinds of groups, including children, like schools and libraries. Why do you do this? Why do you think that's important?
Well, I love connecting with my readers, obviously. I love teaching. I think I've learned, when I was about 4, my grandfather used to say to me, you should become a teacher. You should become a teacher. And I don't know whether he identified something in me or not, but I have realized I just love teaching.
Wow.
And in parenting, some parents play with their kids, and I play with the kids and that sort of thing. I'm constantly entertaining and doing stuff, but I'm also a teacher, so I just love teaching. I love sharing my knowledge. In terms of traveling around everywhere, it is part of the job as well. And kids are just the most amazing individuals. They're the most amazing humans. They're unfiltered, they're carefree, they're just, a lot of them these days are extroverts as well. They all want their turn. It's just so much fun connecting with the kids. And I just love it. I do also teach a lot of adults as well. And they have their own benefits, their own strengths and weaknesses when you come to teach them in a class as well. So it's such a diverse role being an author. It's not just about writing books. It is about getting out there. It's not just about promoting yourself either. It's about teaching others. And, they do say there's a book in everyone, and everyone has the right to write. And I think we're losing some of those skills, putting kids onto screens at such an early age. So it is important. It's important to teach kids how to write and how to express themselves creatively.
Yeah, we find that with the Braille House Library, actually. Some of our people that read our books in Braille also go to audio, but they start to lose the skills like spelling and sentence structure and stuff. So we really do try to promote literacy, reading and writing. It's so important.
It's at the foundation of everything. Even if you want to be able to understand a maths question, you need to be able to read and comprehend it. You need to be able to comprehend your world around you. So it is very, very important that we have those skills, and from an early age. So it's a constant battle. And obviously screens and that kind of technology, without it, we wouldn't be here today talking. Yeah, and it is hard for kids. They see us on screens all the time. My job isn't just writing with a pen and paper. My job isn't this glamorous role where I just travel around the world. I am at my screen a lot of the time, doing my work, sending emails,
Mm-hmm.
creating documents and things like that. So I think we all have to learn a bit more balance in our lives. Yeah.
Mm. And talking about things you've learned, what's some good advice that you've been given as an author?
I think never give up. Like, you never know what's around the corner. There's so many times, because it is quite a long road to getting published. It's like serving an apprenticeship or doing a university course. It doesn't just happen overnight that you turn into a doctor and can start operating on
Unfortunately,
things.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think never give up. Always keep learning. Like, honestly, you have to keep learning every single day. Our world is constantly evolving and changing, and it makes you a better person.
Mhm.
It makes you a more fulfilled and accomplished person and writer. I think if you're learning, I think don't be afraid to take advice. It is so hard. So some people are so very connected to their manuscripts, their stories. They're so in love with them. And I get like that too. And it comes from our heart. If it didn't, it wouldn't sound real. It wouldn't be right. But we do have to learn to take criticism and learn that editing is such a huge part of writing. I think people really disconnect the two. Like, there's writing and there's editing, but really editing is such an intrinsic part of the writing process. We shouldn't be separating out the two. So we've just got to come to terms with that. So there's a few things there that we need to understand about writing. Yeah.
And what about advice that other people have given you that's been important? What's some of that?
Well, some of the things that I mentioned there, people would have told me as we go along, as I've gone along. I went to a lot of workshops when I was first starting out, and Di Bates was, she's a multi-published author. She's got over 100 books, and she compiles buzzwords. She's been doing that for years, the online e-magazine. She's a mentor. She's an amazing author, an amazing person. And, one of her workshop was one of the first things I went to. And so she just taught me about how to set up a manuscript. People come to the industry as an aspiring author. They have no idea that, it is a professional industry, and you have to make your documents look professional and set out to proper templates. Just it seems like tiny, simple things like that, but they're really so important when you're being judged on what you've put onto a page and how that page looks. Also, that, you do really need to take meticulous care with how you present your manuscript. Spelling mistakes, punctuation, grammar, they do matter. So they're kind of some of the intrinsic things that you need to know about writing when you're first starting out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think connecting, a lot of people have told me how important networking is, staying in touch with your groups, finding your tribe, but also putting yourself out there physically, getting to meetings and conferences and festivals, and also connecting online, which does bring us closer. And one of the other things that was really, really important was joining a writers group, a critique group, where you read your work regularly to other people and get that feedback. It does give you invaluable feedback for your manuscript, but also it gives you a thicker skin so you can take that criticism over your writing journey. Yeah.
That's been a constant, actually. All of the authors seem to say, take it to somebody other than your mother and ask them for honest feedback. So sometimes that can be hard, but it's best to get as many inputs as you can. So
it can be incredibly hard because people tend to think of their books as their babies, like book babies. I've heard them referred to. They're quite a lot quieter than my babies, but they are important. They're so loved. They do, like I said, come from the heart. So that letting go can be really, really difficult. But as long as you're in a critique group or have people who are critiquing you, that are critiquing your work, they're not critiquing or criticising you personally, then you're in the right group. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just mentioned you have children yourself. You have 4 kids. Um, have they inspired any of your stories?
Yes, a lot of the characters, a lot of the stories, they're good little creators themselves. Um, they kind of doubt themselves sometimes too. They haven't found their place in life either. I've got a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 6-year-old. And I know my 17-year-old is a really good writer, and he corrects everyone's grammar, and he knows all these things. He's picked up all these things, but he doesn't necessarily believe that he's a good writer. My 15-year-old, he's very creative. He's always been quite artistic, but he doesn't believe in his own artistic abilities. And then my daughter, so you've just got to find your own way in life. But my kids have inspired me with my stories. We'll often be out, bushwalking or walking down the street, and we'll start talking about a character or a story or something catches our eyes, and we get a bit of a laugh out of it. And sometimes I will rush home and I'll write that down, or I'll voice record that idea, because that's gold and that works well in a story. And if it's coming from a kid, it's going to appeal to all those other kids that I'm writing for. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fun. And so you proclaimed 2020 as the year of the League of Llamas. These books are very popular. Why did you choose llamas to be the main characters?
Don't you just laugh when you hear the word llama or see a llama? They are hilarious. There's so many GIFs and all sorts of things, memes on the internet. They're just so funny. Look at these little guys. They're hilarious. And the one behind me, Philippe, he's got the sunglasses. The League of Llamas are secret agents. So it just kind of came, again, from riffing with my kids. We're talking about the Llama Republic, where every, character is a llama instead of humans. And it just grew from there. And it just gave me a giggle. I was able to build in so many llama puns. Philippe and the other secret agents, they're like James Bond, but very clumsy and woolly. It just lends itself to so much humour. So I loved writing the stories. I gave myself a bit of a giggle. So
Yeah,
I hope I give my readers a giggle too. Yeah.
excellent. And your books come with links to like colouring pages, teachers' notes, other resources. They're there to help create lesson plans, but they're also great for kids anytime, really. Um,
Absolutely.
how do you
But
develop those additional resources?
Well, I have actually been working, the last couple of weeks, doing a lot of different resources and updating them for all of my books. Again, having a lot of experience teaching in schools, and I run my own writing workshops up here on the Sunshine Coast as well. I know what appeals to kids. I know what they're learning as part of the curriculum at schools. So I'm just using that knowledge to create some really highly visual and educational and fun classroom resources and writing resources. They can either be used at schools in classrooms or at home for homeschoolers as well. We've been doing a lot of homeschooling this year. So I think that helped me see what worked at home, what kids need. I mean, I was homeschooling my 6-year-old 5 days a week. The others were quite self-sufficient. So that was a lot of fun. And I've just been developing those resources myself. Sometimes publishers will develop them in-house. I've just done a whole new set of classroom resources for League of Llamas. So they'll go up on my website very soon. They'll be on aleesahdarlison.com. But already up there and on the penguin.com.au website is a llama party pack, which has like a word search and a maze and things like that. But we are bringing in other exercises that kids can use in a fun and educational way too. So it's just sitting at the computer and working hard and using your imagination, just like with the writing.
Yeah, nice one. And you also have a couple of series. Obviously, League of Llamas is a series, but then you have the Unicorn Riders and the Little Witch series. How did they become a series? Were they planned that way, or you just
always planned that way?
And then, they were.
Yes, sorry. Always planned that way. Unicorn Riders, I created myself. I used to collect unicorns when I was a little girl, crystal, glass, ceramic, pewter, unicorns, necklaces, earrings, onesies. My mum still sends me unicorn watches and all sorts of things. I've always been a bit unicorn obsessed.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking of what to write for kids, what will appeal to them? Just like with llamas, it was unicorns. So I created a whole series, and the fantasy realms, the characters, and then just wrote the stories and started submitting them. And I got picked up by Walker Books for those. I've written for the Netball Gems series as well for Penguin Random House. Of
Hmm.
course, we've got League of Llamas, so that was always designed to be a series. Little Witch, I designed to be a series. And with Penguin Random House, we have a new series coming out about endangered Australian animals next year. So that's a picture book series. I think series work
Oh,
well
I'm
with
so
kids.
sorry. Something has happened here with.
Right.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's something weird's happening. Oh, here we go. Let me try this. Oh, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Surprise.
Surprise! Yeah, I think somebody was trying to ring me on the other phone, and
Right.
it's like I don't know, taking my screen. So I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right.
Not sure what you were saying. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, so about series.
Yes.
Do you want me to start
That
that
you
little
had-
segment again?
Yeah, that you had planned them, uh,
Yes. Yeah.
and you'd collected
Unicorns.
unicorn. Cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So yeah, I know that series work really well for children. They love the characters or the worlds that authors will create for them, and so they'll stick in there. They'll keep coming back for more. They just absolutely love it. So I created the Unicorn Rider series from the ground up. The characters, the settings. I designed their uniforms, their symbols, their unicorns, their magic, everything. So that's an 8-book fantasy adventure series. I wrote for the Netball Gems series. That was a series that was created by Penguin Random House, and I wrote a couple of books in that series for them. The Little Witch series was with Big Sky Publishing, and that's a series that I designed, built from the ground up, and so Big Sky published that. There's 3 books in that series. League of Llamas was always designed to be a series, so created that one, and there's 4 books in that series. And next year, we have a new series coming up with Penguin Random House. It's about endangered Australian animals. Some really, really critically endangered animals that haven't had books about them, books written about them before. So that's a picture book series. So that's lots of fun. We've just signed on the illustrator, and I'm just going through the editing of those stories. So it's a really exciting phase when you have a picture book and you start to get the character sketches and
Yep.
the designs and images for the books coming through,
Mm.
bringing your stories to life visually. It's a really nice thing to see. Yeah.
And how do you connect with illustrators?
The publisher organises that. Sometimes they'll ask if you have a specific style or illustrator in mind, but many publishers have a stable of illustrators they work with, or they know a style that they really like. They might have checked the style file, which is an online kind of collection of illustrators and their work. So yeah, it's not really up to authors. A lot of aspiring authors come to me and they say, so do I have to pay for the illustrator? I've got an illustrator, or I will get my daughter to illustrate the book before I send it to a publisher.
I
And I
promised
have
my sister.
Yes, they're really good, I promise you. Yeah. So, and sometimes they are, but often publishers will have their own ideas, and they'll have very experienced illustrators who will illustrate the book. And if you are commercially publishing, that means the publisher is going to pay for that. So you don't have to, which is always nice.
Yeah. And just generally, why is reading so important?
Why is reading so important? Well, it teaches us about the world around us, and it teaches us about ourselves. I've learned so much from books. I'm just a little sponge when it comes to books. I love them. I can't help myself. I go to a library and I borrow a stack like this. So reading's important because it teaches us about the world. And without reading, we are stunted in growth, and we can't do everything else that we need to be as a human. And it's a basic human right to be able to read and
Yeah.
write. And so I know there's a lot of people who need help with it, and that's where we should be focusing our energies, and getting kids early and helping
Mm.
them.
Yeah. You said that you come home with a pile of books. What sort of books do you read for yourself?
I tend to read a lot of fantasy, a lot of YA, a lot of middle grade, and anything that will give me a laugh. At the moment, I'm reading Patrick Ness's new book, Burn. Have you seen it?
Not sure.
It's quite new, and it's really interesting. It's this beautiful hardcover too, and it's a black cover with this orange and red dragon in flames. It's set in 1957 America, so a realistic America with all of the strengths and weaknesses of America at that time. But there are dragons in this world, so it's a real world, yet just slightly skewed to have this fantasy element that's accepted as a natural part of the world. So this dragon comes to work at this girl's farm, and he's paid in this very small amount of gold, and he does the work that the girl's father can't do and can't afford anyone else to pay. So the dragons are kind of bid to do the humans work, that the drudgery work that no one wants to do, but they're very, very powerful, and these dragons can speak, and they're very strong. So there's all these undercurrents, these underlying things that things are just going to change and evolve throughout the story. So I've only just started reading it, but I'm fascinated with it.
Good. Well, I'll have to have a look for that one.
Yeah, you have to check it out.
And what's next? So you mentioned that you're working on the book for endangered species.
Yes.
But what else do you have coming up or coming out soon?
Well, those 4 books are keeping me pretty busy at the moment, and of course League of Llamas, but I have this brilliant idea. I can't talk to anyone about it yet. I think it's brilliant. If you don't think your ideas are brilliant, you're in trouble when you're trying to write them. But I think it's going to be funny. It would probably be, what I've got in mind is another 4-book series that would suit the same age group as League of Llamas, but these will be featuring a different kind of animal, an animal that comes from South America. They're very cute, and some might call them a bit slow moving, but we'll see whether they speed up in my story. So yeah, there's a few hints. I've got to try and work it out though, and get some time at the desk to write those stories.
Fair enough. And are you able to read us a little bit of something you've written?
Oh, sure. What about League of Llamas? I'll try number 2. I'll just read a page or 2, shall I?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right, so this is book 2 in the League of Llamas series. It's called Llama Impossible. And you might recall a Tom Cruise series of movies called Mission Impossible. So my books are a bit of a spoof with all these secret agent and spy stories. So the first chapter, chapter 1 of Llama Impossible, I'll just read a few pages.
Okay.
Llama Express train L123 hurtled along the track towards Central Station in New Llama City. The portly, to put it politely, llama train driver was on his 12th chocolate chip cookie. I know how that feels. When the thought occurred to him that the train might be going too fast. The driver glanced over the rim of his coffee cup and out the window. A moustache of milk lined his top lip, which he licked absently. The train shot through Llama Square Station. The llamas standing on the platform stared in bewilderment as the train raced by. Holy llama! The driver spilled his coffee as he sat up. Cookie crumbs and chocolate chips went flying. We were meant to stop there. The driver turned the auto drive function off and pulled the brake lever. The train kept going. The driver hummed. All llamas hum when they're nervous or stressed, and this particular llama was both. This is not good. The train blew through 2 more stations. The driver frantically radioed the Llama Express train total and utter control experts, or Lettuce, Lettuce. Attention, Lettuce, we have a problem. My brakes are gone. Hang on, L123, with you in a minute. I can't hold on. This is an emergency. The train passed another station and the driver shoved the rest of his cookie into his gob just as the train lurched forward. The driver's head whipped back, causing a large piece of cookie to lodge in his throat. Oof! Coughing and choking, the driver flailed about, bumping buttons and levers. The train ploughed along the tracks ever faster. Screams from the passengers in the carriages behind filled the air, but the train driver couldn't hear them. He was lying on the cabin floor, motionless. Now, That's chapter 1. You must never drive and eat, okay? Especially not dry chocolate chip cookies. You'll get into trouble.
I love it. I love the way you've got
Uh,
the little holy llama.
Holy llama. Yes, there are so many llama puns in there. It's not funny. So people will have to explore all those llama puns. There are other animals that I bring into. There are chickens. They're very evil, mean chickens. There are guinea pigs. There are, badgers that do bottom burps. There are chimpanzees, and there are cats. So all your favourite animals all rolled into these books, and all with their own funny little adventures to go on.
Excellent. And where can people purchase them? Is it all good bookstores? Or?
All good bookstores, Dimmicks, QBD, Riverbend Books, and Book Nook at Palmwoods, and also Mad Hatters. So lots and lots of bookstores. Big W, heaps. They're everywhere. And online at Booktopia.
Excellent. And where can people find out more about you or get in touch?
They can find me at my website, aleesahdarlison.com. Just Google me and that will come up. And yeah, if you want to talk about llamas or animals, or send me a funny photo, or send me a bit of writing, I'd love to see it. So just pop me an email, and you'll be able to do that through my website, aleesahdarlison.com.
Excellent. Look, thank you so much for joining us again today. It's been fun and real pleasure to have you. Do you have
Thank you. It's an amazing program.
Do you have any parting messages for our audience?
I think kids should have fun when they're reading and when they're writing. I know we have to do a lot of writing at school, but try to have fun with it. That's the important thing, and everything else will flow from there. So.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, Aleesah, for joining us. And have yourself a great day and all the best.
Thanks, Andrew. My pleasure. See you later.
See you later. Bye.